welcome to Kiss.
Keep it simple, sister.
Hey, Diana.
Hey, Samantha.
It's a snow day for you.
It is a snow day for me, and I love a snow day. Like when I was a teacher, I really loved a snow day. And I've been watching people on my Facebook feed, all the teachers, and they're like, nobody watches the weather closer than a teacher trying to see if there's going to be a snow day.
They're
So
almost
cute.
like
And I'm like,
professional
I don't
weathermen.
care anymore. It doesn't matter. I'm good. Every day's a snow day if I want it to be a snow day.
Oh, you should take some snow days. I wish. So, for us, it's just I'm in the South. I'm in well, most people would know of Hilton Head, South Carolina, and for us today it's just slate gray, blah.
And
However, I could go outside without a jacket on.
okay. Well, it's like 12 degrees here in York, Pennsylvania. And we have 6 inches of snow, and it is snowing even some more. So it definitely is a snow day.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
But
Well,
it's funny,
everyone.
the people I watch, like all my old teacher friends are in Maryland, not in Pennsylvania, and they're on the coast of the Chesapeake Bay, which I grew up in Ocean City, Maryland, which was on the ocean, and the ocean usually you don't get snow because of whatever the water does, to
Yeah,
keep it from being snowy.
which is yeah,
And so
us.
when we got a snow day in Ocean City, it was like, once every 12 years or something like that. And and even in Southern Maryland, you didn't get it all that much. So I'm watching them and they're all excited to have a snow day. But the C word that had everybody at their house forever made it so that they did like online learning stuff. So now it's very confusing. Do you really get a snow day? Don't you get a snow day? Do you have to teach the children
Oh,
online? Do you know if you're going to teach the children online? They can't decide if you're going to teach.
that broke
So
the system.
it totally did. It made it not so much fun anymore, but whatever.
Oh,
That also means that
who's watching this in June is gonna go, "What the hell are they talking about?"
it is January something, 16th,
Yes.
that when we're recording this.
So I wanna formally welcome everybody to our podcast, KISS, and, we're all about, feeling great by feeling better, and, Diana and I are sharing the tips, tricks, techniques that we've accumulated over the year or years, or just naturally just do, that we wanted to share with all of y'all. These are all like incremental little steps that we're sharing with you that when you bring them into your life, when you integrate them into your life, then it makes life just easier. It makes it more fun. It makes it beautiful. So that's what we're all about.
And not beautiful all day, every day, but so we're going to talk about the flip side. That's what we usually like to start with.
Yes.
And the flip side is when you have something that happens that's a little bit challenging, contrast, just not comfortable, not, you don't like it.
Yeah.
Looking for some sort of good thing out of it, some sort of advantage that happened, or it might not even be an advantage, but just something that makes you feel a little bit better about it. So we're going to start with our flip side,
Yep.
which we always do.
Yes.
And my flip side has to do with my husband, which I like to talk about the contrast that comes with my husband sometimes.
I like
um,
to say that Diana is like I swear you are the Irma Bombeck of our generation.
So he snores. I don't know if anybody else's husbands snore.
No.
Um, I know. And so before we both snored for a little while, and we both had a CPAP machine for a little while. And I have been working on my fitness. And so I no longer have to use a CPAP machine because I don't snore anymore, which is exciting. And that means I get, a good night's sleep. So basically the whole point of a CPAP machine is so that when you're snoring, you're not getting good REM sleep. So
Mm.
he has a CPAP machine, and for some reason, it goes like this on his face, and it migrates south sometimes, and then he starts snoring. So I'll pat him and I'll be like, Move your mask, you're snoring." And he'll wake up and he'll be like, "No, I'm not." And I'll be like, "Yes, you are." Um, so that's been going on a lot. And I am not getting good sleep because of it. So even though, so that's the contrast, not getting good sleep.
Yes.
But I decided that I needed good sleep. So I decided to go upstairs to our guest bedroom and sleep so that he can snore himself wherever and I'm going to get a good night's sleep. But I felt a little bit guilty about it because I was like, we're not sleeping in the same bed anymore, all that kind of stuff. But the flip side is
Mhm.
my sleep matters. And I have realized that even though it seemed like I shouldn't do it
Mhm.
in part of my mind, I really should do it. And the goodness that's coming out of it is that I'm a happier person, which makes me nicer throughout the day, not just. So I have a lot more patience with craziness.
That's a big deal.
It is a big deal. And um, I think you've talked about that too, and I
I
remember
feel like
when
I'm
I was
saying, "Come to the dark side, Diana. Let's get a
I
good night."
remember I remember when I was a little girl, we would visit my grandparents, and they slept in different bedrooms, and I was like, "That's just weird. They don't like each other anymore. They're not sleeping in the same bedroom. That's just odd to me." Like,
Mhm.
I don't understand that. But now I totally understand it. I get it
Mhm.
because one or both of them was snoring and keeping the other one up, so they decided to sleep in different bedrooms. So, it's interesting.
Yeah, and as you said that, I was just thinking, yeah, I always wondered that with my grandparents, and I never really thought about it further because they haven't been in my life for so long. They've, passed on, and,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, they were in separate rooms, and I never really thought about it like that. I always thought they just had this, like, latent anger towards each other, and they would be nice
Me
in front of
too.
us. Um,
Me too. But then when I think back, they seem so old to me, but my parents were very young when they had me. My mom was 17 and my dad was 21. So my grandma, and I was the oldest grandchild. So my grandmother was probably only in her 40s, maybe early 50s, right? So she was a
yeah,
very young grandmother. And I remember thinking, they're so old and they don't even love each other anymore. But they really weren't all that old. And they really did. It had nothing to do with not loving each other. It had to do with snoring.
yeah. Well, and, my humble opinion on all of it is that, life can wear you down so easily. There's so much going on now. We are so fragmented and exhausted, but they weren't as much back then, but they kind of had the secret is that your sleep is absolutely, I mean, everyone preaches it. Your sleep is absolutely the most vital thing. You can't lose weight without it. You can't get through the day, like in a cohesive fashion. Like everything happens to replenish yourself during your sleep.
And you
And
get
so,
sick. Like it brings down your immune system if you're
yeah.
not sleeping properly and all that. Yeah.
So if you have to get good sleep and you've got to make that a priority, how are you going to make that a priority? This is the obvious choice.
Yes.
And it shouldn't be frowned upon or made one feel guilty or they're not in love or they're, whatever it is. It's yeah,
Yeah.
freedom. Good night sleep. Okay, so my flip side um is I was trucking along. Diana knows very well. I always have, she'll say, "Hey, do you have anything going on?" And I'm like, "Yeah, 20 different things." I'm never not busy, but I make time.
Uh-huh.
I have so many irons in the fire. Usually my computer, I'm very ADHD, and my computer will have 20 programs open. Okay, not 20. Well, no, probably 20. And I'll focus on something until somebody yells at me to focus on something else. And I'm just trying to get it all done. And there's not enough hours in the day and all this stuff. This has been going on since before Thanksgiving, like 2 weeks before Thanksgiving when I decided to do a marketing push, really invest in what I'm doing, get it together, and, and it's been a bit nutty, to say the least. That's like using a it's been batshit crazy. Um,
A little euphemism, nutty.
yes, nutty. I just realized how weak that was. Anyway, so I am in the middle of another big push with some marketing, and I get back from taking my time to do something with someone else, which was nourishing, except that I then sit down and I've got like what people call the blue screen of death. And I'm just like going, oh no. And I try everything and my computer's not coming up. I have no idea what's going on. And so you can imagine everyone's had a moment with their computer where they're just like, I can't even. And I'm thinking of all the stuff I have to do.
And
And
your computer is life for you.
yes,
For
yeah.
me, not so much because I'm not, we've all established that I'm not as techy as you are. And I'm okay if my computer's down.
Mhm.
You are not okay if your
No,
computer's
everything I do,
down.
all the different hats I wear involve the computer, web design,
Right.
real estate, hunting for things, online, graphic design work, the Photoshop process. This is like, so it's just, and then meeting my clients online and recording. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
So just at that moment, my son's, one of his close friends pops in, hasn't been by here forever, just happens to pop in while does IT stuff. And so, and I probably should have asked my son to help first. But anyway, because I was kind of going, is he upset that I'm not asking him? But I dragged his friend in here. I said, can you explain what's going on? And the thing is, I know enough to be dangerous. I can figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
And but I've now flatlined in my mind because I'm freaking out that I can't get any work done. That moment where you're just like, I can't
Yeah. You
see a
can't
way
even get
forward.
past it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I love how you share my mind. You totally get me. And, so he sits down, starts messing with it. He goes, "Yeah, this doesn't look good." And so he ends up spending, about half an hour to an hour. No, probably it was like an hour on my computer trying to figure this stuff out. And he goes, "Well, I can take your hard drive home. I can, boot it up on this. I can do this. I can do that, and try to figure out if it's your hard drive that's crashed or if it's this or whatever." And, and we're slowly sleuthing through, like, in computer terms, you have to figure out what it isn't to figure out what it is.
Okay.
So, I go and buy another, well, it wasn't a hard drive, it's an SSD, and this is technical. SSDs don't crash. So it could be something far more serious on my computer. Anyway, I go and I buy a replacement just in case, and it's so weird. Like, there's a moment where it always happens when you're doing tech stuff, where you suddenly go, "Wait, I know what it is." Like, it just hits you. And so we figured out that, oddly enough, some files had gotten rewritten, during a Windows update. They just gotten rewritten and they were corrupt, and it just locked my computer down. So he was gonna put a fresh install of Windows. I know I'm being super techy, sorry about it. Um, so the upshot of it is, like, normally I would handle all this stuff myself. I know how to F disk a hard drive. I know how to start over. Okay.
Yeah.
I know how to get everything. I know that I was just gonna
You're speaking a completely foreign language to me and probably to most people. F disco what? Okay, go ahead.
um I know how to manage it. Like, I know
Got
how to
it.
wait. It's just how much of my files do I want to lose or save? How many of them are backed up? I knew that most of mine were backed up. And, but for some reason, here's the main point, is that I left it to him to figure out instead of me, because I was, again, flatlined, even though now I was getting like an understanding of, okay, this is what we need to do. But he couldn't come back over till the next day. And so I'm sitting there going, I'm dead in the water. And I'm thinking, I kind of know what this is. I can handle it. And I'm like, nope, I'm gonna just let him. I started with him. I'm gonna let him figure it out. And for me, essentially what it did for me, since we were just talking about this, it gave me a snow day. So
Okay.
yeah, I've been going, let's see, I can
Oh,
pull up.
I get it. You're
I've
speaking my language now.
been Well, I've been going like a bat out of hell, like just trying to do the 4 jobs that I do, which I love doing. and then having time with friends and family over the holidays and all this kind of stuff. And it took this to slow me down. It just like you are going to stop now. And
Yeah.
so I sat back. I had a nice long lunch with my son and I read a book, not a book, I read a chapter, a couple of pages. Um, but I took it easy. I just took a deep breath and slowed down and I released to this is what it is. And every once in a while I'd come back to, Sam, you could try to do this on your laptop. No, Sam, you could just reinstall the stuff yourself if you can't make it tonight. And I just kept going, stop it. This is your snow day. This is a huge signal from spirit, just take it easy. So, yeah, that was my flip side that it slowed me down, that I recognized the purpose of it and just eased into it and made the most of it.
Well, and I think that both of us, both our flip sides are it's okay to take care of yourself. It's
Yes.
okay to give yourself a minute. And you have to
Mhm.
remind yourself that. And I think that's a big, huge deal for everyone who's listening and for us to remind ourselves it's okay to have a snow day.
Yeah.
It's okay to have a sick day without being sick. It's a mental health day.
What's sad is, and I know everyone can relate to this, is that so many times what we do is we don't allow for it. We don't listen to those nudges to slow down, to take it easy. And so, it's like uh, we have to get sick to have that
Right.
excuse, to have that reason. We have to have things break down in order for us to freaking stop. Wouldn't it be great if we could just acknowledge it ahead of time? And give ourselves the grace to have the space to just chill or,
Yeah.
to make the necessary adjustments in our life so that we can take a breath.
And the picture that I get in my mind is sit on the front porch in the rocking chair and drink some lemonade or a cup of tea or whatever.
Which is funny because it's wintertime. But
Well, exactly, but I think we're just so used to being on that hamster wheel and never taking a step off for a minute. And that is probably one of the most important things that we can do for ourselves and give ourselves some grace about it.
yep,
You're allowed.
yep, most definitely.
You're allowed.
Cool. I like this flip side. This was good.
Me too.
So we're moving on to the positive path. And we're picking up on a part two. So
Okay.
if you're just tuning into this and you don't listen to us sequentially or whatever, the week before we did part one, and we were talking about the concept of emotional release. And we're going to maybe touch on some of the stuff that we talked about before, but with Diana and I, we never know what direction it's going to go in. um,
We have a plan, but most of the time it goes off the rails, but okay. And it's
so
okay.
So last week when we were talking about emotional release, we were sharing some of the lighter sides of emotional release. It takes a lot to say that emotional release.
It's kind of a
So
tongue twister.
it is. I'm like, "No, no, no."
Oh,
Um, but anyway, it's an important concept for us to look. Well, it goes along with everything we're just talking about. You
yeah.
know, sometimes things. Okay, let me back up. Let me pick up from last week in case somebody they just watched this part 2 for the first time, they didn't see part 1. When we talk about because people are going, "What the hell's emotional release?"
Yeah.
Um, so I describe this to clients as you wake up in the morning, right? And you start your busy day. And depending on how much sleep you got, depending on how much self-nurture you did, yeah. The day before, the week before, the month before, preceding this morning you're waking up, um, it all feeds into the resilience you have to get throughout the day. And so I always describe it as your reservoir. Like you've got, like trying to
Well, it's like filling your tank.
Reservoir
Like if your tank is
irritation.
empty, you've got nothing to run on. If you think
Yes.
about, gas in your tank or
Yeah,
whatever.
I don't know, I don't like referring to the gas in the tank, it's weird.
But I
But
like the reservoir. That's good
it's
too.
yeah, I don't know why anyway, so, you start off with if you haven't been taking care of yourself, here's the full. We'll use my head as an example. Here's the full.
Okay.
And if you haven't been taking care of yourself, your reservoir, that which you have to draw upon to get you through the day, is kind of around here.
So it's
And
like
if you
your emotional reserve.
yes, and it's like you could I'm just thinking there's 2 different ways to talk about this because, if you are generally a happy person and you bump yourself up like you and I do, we can start off like this, but we can bump ourselves up and, like, keep, going throughout the day, just bumping ourselves back up so that when we take the hits throughout the day, those little things that just contrasty, negative, it bumps us down, but then we know, "What can I do to laugh? What can I do to feel better?" But
Yeah.
most people, when the shit starts hitting the fan, they go dunk, 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 dunk. And by the end of the day, you walk in the door, you come home, your kids come home, whatever it is, and they start asking you for things. And this is when you get into bitchy mode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this and generally when it comes down to the time for you and your spouse or significant other, like you got nothing left. And
Yeah.
it's just you're fried. And
Yeah.
so that's what we're talking about is how do you release the things that are happening throughout the day so that you can bounce back up, feel a little bit better, and not be down in this space?
Have something left at the
Uh-huh.
end of the day.
Yeah. So do you want to share some of the stuff we talked about last week to bump yourself up?
Right. Okay. So I don't have my list in front of me, so help me. But the thing that I like the most, or the thing that comes most, I guess, is most pleasant for me is grounding. We talked about grounding, and grounding was, yeah, I loved when you were talking about putting your hands in the earth, in the, like plants and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Especially this time of year in Pennsylvania. Like if I go outside in my bare feet right now to the 6 inches of snow, I'm not sure what that's going to do for me, except for give me frostbite possibly on my toes. Um, we talked about water being a good way to ground, and either, running your hands underwater or getting in the bathtub or getting in the shower and just letting the water run over you.
Mhm.
um, and when it's not snowy outside, go out and feel the grass, feel the dirt, feel the earth beneath your feet.
Hug a
Um,
tree.
Hug a tree. Oh,
We didn't
hug
mention
a
that one,
tree.
but
We didn't talk about hugging a tree.
yeah, but it's
Well, and I've been going to Planet Fitness, which opened near my house, and they have a wellness pod, and you kind of go in and you lay on this nice warm bed, and it spits some nice scents at you. But the thing that I love to do is there's a screen that you can choose whatever you want on there, but nature scenes is the one that I love. And so it makes me feel like I'm out in nature, and that tends to ground me a little bit. And that's new for me. So I think that's kind of cool.
that is very cool. I like that.
Yeah. So that's new news. I didn't tell you about that. But if you want to join, if you have a Planet Fitness near you and you want to join, I can send you a link, because here's my
Pitch.
pitch for today. Well, partial pitch. Um, they have, at least the one near me, you can join for $10 a month, and you can go 24/7 every day to get on the treadmills and the weight things and everything. But $25 a month, you get a black card membership, and it has all of this stuff that is like the wellness pod, and a hydro massage table and these massage chairs, and you can go do the which I don't really recommend this, but they have tanning beds, and they have red light um, things that help you, and all of that stuff.
All the good
I've been
stuff.
doing that instead of getting on the treadmill and all.
Yeah.
which probably should do that too.
Yeah.
But all of those things kind of help with the grounding, help with the relaxation, help with all of those things. The other day I went in and there's two guys behind the desk that I'm like, yeah, I'm not here to work out. I'm going to go get on the hydro massage bed or whatever. So I do my thing, and then as I walk back out, one of the worker guys was like, "You're smiling now," and I was like, "Yep, I wasn't when I came in, and I am now, so it makes a difference." So there was that grounding. What else? I don't remember what
So
else
we
we
talked
talked about.
about movement, qigong, tai chi, yoga, that dancing,
Uh-huh.
just feeling the spaces in your body and moving and releasing blocks throughout your body. So anything that you're just as I'm doing this, like I can just feel certain things, and you just feel the movement. I mean, you can just sit at your desk, and I've done this where I just like, will sit here and release
Well,
tension.
it's funny that you're talking about dancing too, because I don't think that we talked about dancing last week. But
No.
dancing, I always go back to Grey's Anatomy where they dance it out. Like when they were when it was really stressful or whatever, they would just turn on the music and go for it. And I didn't make the association. I didn't, like kind of hook that. That's interesting.
Well, and everything that we're talking about, the grounding and, putting your hands underwater, taking your shoes off, getting in the dirt, going and sitting, like in the wellness pod, and then dancing or doing tai chi and everything. All of that brings you into the present, into the now, because you cannot release from stress by thinking about the future vacation you're going to take, the future shit that's rolling downhill towards you. That's, of course, not going to help.
Yeah.
Or thinking about the past, how lovely it was. I mean, sure, you can think about how lovely it was and you can bring that feeling into the moment.
Right.
But
But
again,
it's all about in the
the moment.
moment.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's what you're doing to so meditation is in the moment. It's all about you deal with the state, your physical state of being, your emotional state of being, from the present moment. There is nowhere else you can do it. So anything that's bringing you into this present moment is how you're going to manage, like, all that disconnectedness or frustration.
Well, and we had a pretty lengthy discussion about the chemical processes that happen in your body caused by emotion.
Yeah,
And so that's the whole point here is the emotional release helps fix those chemicals, not fix them, but
release from them, stop them from being produced.
right,
Really
which
what you're doing.
keeps you out of the fight or flight, which, is so taxing
Mhm.
on you in so many different ways.
Yeah, yep. So I'm going to go into some of these things, some of these concepts, and explain them. Um, some because we were doing, the lighter, more daily ones, and we're going to hit on some techniques to deal with it that are more intense. Like you're having a very intense moment, you're getting ready to walk in on, into a situation and you're feeling the pressure build up. Again, all of that, like you're doing the fight or flight, right? And
Yeah.
you're pumping yourself full of adrenaline and cortisol and all the other stuff that I'm not a scientist, doctor, or whatever. So I'm just throwing words out that
It all sounds good.
yeah, yeah. I just know this works.
Yeah.
So, one of my favorite ones, and I'm wondering if you have done this yet. One of my favorite ones that I teach my clients is using, okay, cover your ears if you don't like sweary words, but there's no other better way to say this, is the fuck it pillow.
Yes, and I was hoping you would get to that one. I have not tried it yet, but it seems like that's the easiest thing to do
Yes, you should be doing that all the time. So I tell
all
people
day, every day.
get a dedicated pillow, like because this
Okay.
pillow is going to have some serious energy. It can be a small pillow,
Uh-huh.
like where is I'm going way back for mine. So it can be something like, see, size wise, it can even be a
Yeah.
little bit smaller. You need it to be not so firm, like
Smooshy.
you need to be able to go, no. um, so the purpose of this is, let me first talk about the power of the word fuck. Okay.
Okay. Because I love that word.
It's used in so many of our sweary affirmations.
Yes,
Um,
definitely.
and it's kind of like, when people use the word like dude, you can say dude, or you can go
Uh-huh.
dude, well,
Yeah.
fucks like that. You can go fuck or fuck, or fuck. So lots of different ways to use
Fuck.
it. And I've tried clients who prefer not to use that word. I've tried to give them other words to use, but here's the thing is that there's something about the, like that you can just,
But
and
also I kind of think it might be vagal nerve kind of something when the comes out,
yeah,
maybe, right?
I think just know that when like you sigh, when you hum, you're affecting that vagus nerve, which we're just really beginning to understand in full and starting to come out into mainstream understanding. And
Yeah.
so that whole I wish you guys could look inside my mind because as we talk about this stuff, I'm a spatial thinker. And as we talk about it, I'm sitting there thinking of a client of mine and how she was having issues with her vagus nerve and I'm seeing these lights just going off and these connections happening and sparks and like it in my mind's just totally so crazy.
Well,
Anyway,
I'm pretty impressed that you're able to rein it in too with all that going on in your mind. That's interesting that
you guys have no
that
idea.
you kind of give us that
If you
that
see me just
visual.
Yeah, if you see me pause for a moment, it's because I'm going, "Do I say this? Do I bring it in? No, stick with the t." So, going back to the power of fuck and the vagus nerve and all of
Uh-huh.
that is that and especially like, people go, "Fuck," like that. It's you tighten up your shoulders. You do this with your fists. All of that and shaking a little bit, when you're doing all of that, it's taking all of that energy and then going, "Phew," you're releasing it.
Okay.
And, we talk about everything that you do, you want to bring yourself back to neutral because
Uh-huh.
in the neutral space, now you're in a space where you can begin to assimilate what's happening, choose what your preferred reality is, where you want to go with things. Do you really want to go down this? Like you can think rationally then. Do I want to go down this path and yell at this person and potentially blow things up? Or do I want to take a deep breath and, put this aside and say, "Hey, let's have a meeting about something," and proceed in a calmer way. I think we need to have a glass of wine over this one, but you
Uh-huh.
can't do that until you've released all this pent up everything that's in your body. So, yelling, fuck, doing this and going, "Bah," works
Uh-huh.
beautifully. However, when you sit there and you yell, we all know that screaming, yelling, like, it hurts your throat. It just
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
And there's also times okay, so let me just take that, how much that hurts your throat to do that. Also, there are times that you can't do that because you're in a setting where there's lots of people around.
It's not socially acceptable.
Yeah. Like, if you're in your car, sure, you can do that, but if you
Yeah.
do that in your car at a traffic light, people are looking at you like, What did I do? What's going on? What" you know?
Yeah.
So, that's the point of the fuck it pillow. So, I actually told a client of mine, who works at a dental office. She handles all the claims, and, I can't remember.
Worst job ever.
Yes.
Well, for
So
me, maybe
people
for some
come in
people,
and
they love it.
yeah, they pay her and she handles the claims, I think was the deal. And so everyone's just pissed off when they see her. There's very few very happy people. And so she's
Yeah.
dealing with taking a lot of emotional stuff. And she was just taking it all in. And she was beginning to really hate her job. So I said, "You need a fuck it pillow. Bring it to the office with you." And now, okay, let's set the setting here. There's lots of women working in a dental office typically. And so I said, "You keep that, like, find a place in the office, whether it's under your desk or wherever that you have it, that when you need to release that tension, you can bring it into the bathroom, you know, and do the whole." Um, so, um, what she said is like, she went out and got herself a very special pillow and brought it to the office, and everybody was wondering why there's a pillow in the bathroom. And she goes, "Don't touch it, my pillow. Just leave it alone." And, finally, they pestered her enough that she's like, "Okay, this is my fuck it pillow, when I need to." And she said she'd go in there and just go, you know. So when you are yelling against the fabric and stuff, nobody can hear it because it's muffled.
Right.
We know this from watching Dexter. You ever see the show Dexter? Like, you can muffle someone. Like if you're like smothering someone and they're yelling, you always want to use a pillow because it muffles. So it muffles your breath. And as you're yelling, so you're getting the energy out, but not everyone's hearing it. But you're getting it out, but it also puts resistance against the yell or whatever. So you're not straining this
And
and
hurting your
works
throat.
perfect.
Yeah.
The muffling is amazing for that. But people wanted to start using her fucking pillow. Just like, you can't use my fucking pillow.
No, you need your own.
Right, especially, come on, the big C. Well,
Yeah.
like, if you've got flu or whatever, whatever bugs go around.
Whatever,
It's
snot. Do not I don't want your snot on my pillow.
Yeah, so it's a very personal thing. But
Yes.
anyway, can you see
Okay.
like, you can have it in the car with you, like I told her, "Have one in the car, and before you go into work, if you're feeling the tension build up on your way to work, before you get there, pull over and just scream into your pillow, just, 'Ah!' And there's no other words."
Great idea, and I'm thinking about my daughter Maggie, who gets road rage, every day. She calls me on her way home from work, and she's yelling, and I know that that's because she's a very,
Mhm.
empathetic person. Like, she takes
She's an
on
empath. She feels
yeah,
it.
she takes on everybody else's energy, and I know she's gotta get that out, and that's what she does is yells and screams at all of the anybody on the road. "You're going too fast, you're going too slow, you're," and she's talking to me on the phone as she's yelling and screaming a lot of times, and I'm like, "Someone's gonna shoot you. Stop it, stop it, stop it." But maybe she needs that pillow to be able to yell and scream before she even actually gets on the road
Yep, yep. Or
or
she
goes
goes
into
into
the
it.
office after she's on the road or whatever,
Yeah,
yeah.
or she's at a stoplight or whatever, just to yell into it real quick because the feeling, like, and it's fun when I do this because I'm so in touch with my feelings and everything that just doing this going like that immediately put me into a state of relaxation and
Uh-huh.
neutral because I'm so aware of, like, if I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna release it. I know, like,
Yeah.
that's my goal.
Well, and there's
Um,
some kind of psychological something. I don't remember what it's called. Maybe I can look it up and we can put it in the description. But I remember when I was in high school, I took an advanced placement psychology class thing, and we all had to lay on the ground, and you had to tense up your hands, and then your arms, and then your shoulders, like your whole body. You tensed it and then let it go, and that's what we were doing. But I didn't know that that's what we were doing.
yeah.
That's kinda cool. And I think there's a name for it. I don't know what that is, but I will research that. Let me write
Okay, cool. So that's the fuck it pillow, which is super,
Okay.
super fantastic. The next thing, let's see. I did not talk about we didn't talk about tapping last time.
We didn't talk about tapping, and we really didn't talk about, like, guided meditation. I think we were gonna talk about that too, weren't
Yep.
we?
Yep. Okay. So I'm messing up the degrees of severity here. So just bear with
Okay.
me because this would be second to doing tapping.
Okay.
And we'll leave meditation for another time.
Okay.
The importance of meditation. Um, because the thing is, Guided
Yeah, it's a
meditation.
whole thing in itself.
Yeah, and it's not going to while it can allow you a sense of relaxation, it's not really an emotional release. It's not gonna take
Okay.
you from point A to point Z, quickly, which is
Right.
what we're looking for here.
It's more of a maintenance kind of thing.
Mhm, and so is, like, when we talk about grounding, yoga, those you can start feeling like that and do them, and it puts you at neutral.
Yeah.
This whole segment is on more severe stuff.
Okay.
So I would have put the fuck it pillow at number 2. So number 1, would be EFT tapping. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. I don't remember the name of the guy who created it, but he tried to he's tried to hold on to that concept, but it's become mainstream. People are
Okay.
doing it without realizing they're doing it. And people have practitioners have taken it and used it all kinds of different ways at this point. So the
Mm.
traditional way of doing it, okay, the concept of tapping is that you are tapping on meridian points throughout your body to disrupt the signal, the electrical signals going through your body. So you're starting to feel anxiety, and so you start tapping on these meridian points, and it interrupts those electric impulses going through your body that are ramping up the anxiety. Okay.
Okay.
That's technically what you're doing. Now, the traditional way of doing EFT is um, you hit on the karate, tap on the karate point, and you do a setup statement like, say, even though I'm feeling anxious in this moment, I deeply and completely love myself. Even though I feel incredibly anxious at this moment, I deeply and completely love myself. Even though my anxiety is totally out the window, I deeply and completely love myself. So the whole idea is that even though you're feeling off, you're saying, I do love myself. I've always had an issue with this one because, and people say, don't worry about it, it'll be fine. But if you can't buy into the fact that you deeply and completely love yourself,
Yeah, you're fighting that as you're doing it.
uh-huh.
That was my thought.
But I've had people argue with me and say, or debate me on this and say, no, 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 but you will get to that point. And I'm like, you get to a point of neutral, but if you don't love yourself, you don't love yourself, period. And so for me, that part doesn't
And it kind of undoes what you're doing if your brain
in the
or your
setup state.
subconscious is fighting that.
Yeah. So I can sit there and say, even though I'm feeling anxious, I'm going to feel better. I'm going to feel good. I I don't know. So I usually don't even do the setup statement. That's me
Okay.
working with someone.
Well, and you know what I was thinking as you're saying that? I might say everything's always working out for me.
Mhm.
Everything's gonna be okay.
That would,
Every
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, and that's not about loving myself, but it kinda is, but
yeah.
those words might be the problem. So whatever it is that makes you get the feeling of, "Okay,
It's gonna be all right.
alright, it's gonna be alright."
Yeah. Because you have previous evidence. You're still alive,
Right,
you're still kicking, so something's working right.
right.
So then, let's see.
So you don't do the setup
Yeah.
statement.
Okay,
That's your typical.
yeah. So, you would sit here and go, what you're doing is you're going to ramp yourself up. You're going to talk
Oh,
about
you
what
can
you're
feel
feeling.
that.
Oh, yeah. So you say, I'm feeling anxiety. I'm just feeling so much anxiety. Why am I feeling anxiety in my body? It's just like, it's just racing through my body. So, side, the temple right here,
Okay, so it's head,
hmm above the eye,
above the eye, temple. I should
temple,
do it with my other hand because that's my bad arm. Okay. Head,
above
uh,
the eye, temple, under
okay,
the eye, under the nose. I like that point. Uh, Under the mouth, and then, collarbone. So it's kind of right under the collarbone.
okay. So
And
in.
this one, which is no always annoys me, under the arm, Like women don't, we just don't like doing it, you know?
Well, and you
It's
gotta
just
go
a lot.
across your boob to do it, and
Yeah.
depending
Like,
on how big your boobs are, that's not comfortable. I
right.
gotcha.
And then you go back up to the head again. So
Okay,
so you'd sit there and say, I'm feeling super anxious. I don't get why I'm so anxious, but this feeling in my body is just, so you keep talking about what it is you're feeling. I'm so anxious. This anxiety, like I can feel this anxiety through my body. So you're trying to get it racing. Okay. Like it's already racing, but you're trying to acknowledge it so that as you're doing this, you're interrupting the patterns of that anxiety.
okay, okay.
And so you just kind of keep talking about it. And I should have said before you start on a scale of mark down on a scale of 1 to 10 if you want to. 1 being, hey, I'm totally fine. 10 being, holy shit, this is off the charts.
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
so then you can stop and say, okay, where's that feeling now? Is it still an 8 or is it moved down to a 6? Because you want to keep doing until it's kind of moved down or off. Um,
Okay.
that's if you really should start off that way, in general, but if you're just kinda going through the process, you can just keep tapping. But, as it starts to alleviate, like, all the way I start to use it is, you know, this anxiety, like, um, what benefit does this even serve me? Like, why would I begin to feel anxiety in the first place? What is the root of that anxiety? Do I really need to carry this with me? Because it's not really productive to my day to day. There's nothing I really need to do. So I start bringing in positive kind of things because as
Uh-huh.
you start to question and bring in the positive things, there might be little triggers here and there, and you're disrupting them. So my main way of using this is first to get a client out of their head, like to get them to release from that feeling that they're feeling. um, but also, if they're too in their head and I'm trying to get them to get in more to the feels, I'll have them doing this because they're so focused on this process that then I'll ask them a question and all of a sudden they will answer that question right away instead of trying to go, well, let me analyze this question. When did this first start? If they're doing this, I'm like, well, when did that first start? They'll be like, I don't know, 6. Like it just comes out.
Uh-huh.
So it's for me, I use it partly as a distraction,
Okay.
and it keeps them from that analytical process. Even if you sit there and try to go, well, why do I feel this way? Like it gets you out of your head because you can't tap and also interrupt those.
Yeah, it's kind of like the rub your stomach, pat your head. You can't do that. So that's interesting.
Yep. So I'm huge on EFT. There's manuals. There's things. There's so much information out there on it.
Okay.
So it's something that anybody can pick up and practice. It's just how you wanna use it, but that's the kind of basic understanding behind it. I am not a practitioner, I have not been
Well,
certified.
and I just made myself a note that I'm going to try and I'm going to find us some YouTube things that people can
Well, I have a
get more
manual.
information.
Yeah, I actually have an exercise I can give to people where
Cool. And is that going to be our weekly wanderlust? Maybe.
maybe we're gonna keep
Maybe.
going.
Okay.
We got one more, and I know
Okay.
we're coming up on time here, so, let me get this one through real quick because this is a really
Okay.
good one. I think this is going to be an episode that people really listen to, though, because everybody wants to deal with their anxiety, their frustration, their whatever. So
Well,
the
it's
next
so
one,
practical. I love it when there's a practical, what can I do?
uh-huh. Yep, yep. Instead of waxing philosophical.
Yeah.
Um, so the next one's called the red room process. So the red room process is totally cool, um, because this is something that you are using your imagination. I am a huge proponent of using the imagination. We literally create our reality through our emotions and our imagination.
Okay.
So, if you're thinking negative things and you're imagining negative things, then you're creating a very negative experience. If you're doing positive, you're creating a positive experience. So, why not use it to process emotions? Because a
Okay.
lot of people, they do meditation and they go, I'm in a field of flowers and all my friends are around me and life is good. And you go on this dreamy little whatever that relaxes you. See, I can even talk about it and just go, oh my God, I feel so much lighter. And so you're in that space. But what people tend to not use it for is going into the dark spaces, the shadow side of yourself. So when you do this, you close your eyes and meditate it, like get yourself to a meditative state. Just close your eyes, a couple of deep breaths. And then I always love imagining this. You imagine a doorway, but make the door something that is unique to you. Maybe it's got like metal bands going across it. It's a really heavy kind of door and you have to like really pull it open. Whatever it is, you'll begin to create it as you make this more of a real thing, a real place to go to in your mind.
Uh-huh.
So, there's a door before you, you make it whatever you want. See yourself opening the door up and stepping in. So now you're in this space. Okay? Shut the door behind you. The space, it's a closed in space. You don't know what you're doing with it. So make it whatever you want. If you want there to be, we call it red room. It's mainly red room for the idea of rage, but you can make it red. You can make it glowy red, or you can make it just red on the walls, or you can make it, well, you want it to be a feisty color. You don't want it to
Okay.
be blues or yellows, or if you want to,
Fiesta wear.
yeah. Or you can even make it just keep it black and just know that, I kind of for me, I like the red uplighting, so that it's
Okay.
not this red wall, but it's just the uplighting of red. It makes it more energetic to me. So it's like a white space with red uplighting. And from this point, you can do whatever you want. You can have padded walls that you can imagine that you're running up against, or you can have a computer in front of you and a sledgehammer, and you're banging you're tearing apart. All of this stuff is stuff that you're just sitting on your sofa, wherever, and you can imagine all of this and process emotions without worrying about, oh, when I slam that computer, a part's going to spray out at me. And where can I find that stuff? Like you're creating all of this so that you're doing it in your space.
Okay.
Um, so, or, it could be that just that you sit there and you're yelling "Ah," like this, except you're doing it in your mind. So as you create this space, you make it as visceral as possible. Maybe the room feels hot and muggy. Maybe like you're trying to agitate yourself. But all of it in your mind. So your body will respond because your body doesn't know whether there's like, the old saying, whether there's a tiger in the bush or not.
Yeah, yeah.
Your mind doesn't know, you're tricking it. So your mind feels like it's really experiencing this. So you will rev things up in your body and feel your breath catching and you holding tension. And then as you imagine, like, let's just take breaking glass. Maybe you've got all this beautiful china in front of you, or crystal, let's say crystal. So you got all this crystal in front of you, you've got red uplighting all around you, and you take the crystal and you bang it against the wall. And so you're just imagining picking it up, flinging your arm back, and then throwing it against the wall, and this satisfying just shattering of the glass, that sound and that like impact moment, and so you imagine all of that. And each time you do it, like, what that you've broken things before that you've sat there and thought, "Oh, that felt good." So just recall that feeling.
Well,
All
and now they have those rooms. They have those places where you can beat up a TV or you can, just I forget what they call them,
but here's
crash
the thing,
splash rooms,
you
bash
go to
rooms.
places like that, and it feels like the idea feels great, and it
Huh?
can be fun, but in all honesty, like, if you're pissed about something and you wanna slug and, like, hit something, it freaking hurts your hand, and you end up
Right. And I would not be able to get past who's going to clean all this up.
there's all of that. But, like,
Yeah.
you go and slam that, I'm sorry, this is the practical side of it. You're pulling muscles,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah. Yeah.
spending energy, but the practicality of all of it, you're spending money, you're going to this place, so you're having to contain your emotion till you get there, whereas with Red Room, you just got to get good with the imagination part of it, but it's not
Yeah.
hard to do. And instead of fields of flowers, you're like breaking glass. And in your mind, like I usually tell my clients, hold on to a pillow. It helps to have that
Your
instead of
fuck it pillow.
huh?
Your fuck it pillow.
Well, you tend to need a bigger pillow than a fuck it. You need something that like you can squeeze because your
Yeah.
body does get tight. Like it's hard to just do it in your head. Your body does feel it. And then once you've worked through your tirade, just imagine however you want to do it, the room being cleaned up before you. Because see, you're sitting there going, who's going to clean this up? You know, like your mind goes there. And you do want to tidy things up afterwards because what you're doing is you're having conflict and resolve all in one session. So
Okay.
you're creating chaos and then resolution. So you've smashed the glass all over the place. Now you've got a 3 to 5 foot tall, pile of glass in a corner. And then you just imagine this wind starting to come through. However you want to do it. And maybe it's a vortex and it whirls the glass around into this beautiful thing. Maybe it creates a beautiful statue. Maybe it decimates all of it and it just disappears. However you want to do it. That's the thing.
I want a big vacuum.
You could do that. You could have the hose and just go, you know? And so clean up the space and return it to where it was before. I shift that red light into maybe a blue, or into a yellow. And I allow myself to feel that sense of accomplishment, of release. And maybe there's some birds chirping, maybe there's some, whatever. And I can walk to the door. The door is gentle on this side now. It's not that big, whatever. I open it, I shut it behind me, done.
That's really cool.
It's a really, really neat technique.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so
you
that's
say, dude, that's your number one and the fuck it
uh,
pillow is number two?
no, EFT tapping is number 1,
Okay.
bucket pillows number 2,
Okay.
and then red room is number 3. Red room is you've just had an argument with someone and you
Okay.
can't get over it, and, like, that you can't tell them how you feel, they won't hear it, they won't whatever, so you can sit in the red room, you can have that person in front of you in the red room, and you can scream at them and see them dissolve in front of your eyes.
Oh, that's so cool. So I don't know how many people follow me on Facebook, but I do reels a lot. And one of my most recent reels was my husband got on my nerves, and it's all about my husband. And I went outside, like I'll go take a walk
Mhm,
because it gets me nature, so that grounds me.
mhm.
It also the movement, somehow, and I always feel better when I get done walking. But I went out and I had on a sweatshirt with a hood, and I said, "He has driven me out into the hurricane force winds so that I can feel better," or whatever. And that's what my reel was. But the red room, even if it was a hurricane force, I could go in and do that instead. So that's always what's worked for me before, but now I have a new technique. I have a new
Well,
go-to.
sometimes let's talk, talk about this. Sometimes if you walk out the door because you need that space, that ramps your partner up.
Right.
It sends them into whatever.
Yeah.
Um, Whereas if you just like, I got to take a moment to myself and you step into another room and you yell into the fuck it pillow or red room it, um, you can get to that zero space, that neutral space so much more quickly. And
Yeah.
from there, make that decision. How am I now going to speak with them? How am I now going to move forward? Whereas when you leave the house, you get in the car, it always feels extreme. It feels extreme to walk out the door. Like,
Yeah.
I'm making a point. It's like it's a lot. So it's a different dynamic when you're doing this,
Yeah. Yeah.
where you're not signaling, you're not, you're just dealing with the emotions you're feeling.
I like it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. So then we talk about the weekly wanderlust. So the weekly wanderlust for this week. um, I think we'll let people choose from those three, which one they want to
Okay.
do. Let's do that.
Okay.
However, I am going to provide the link for the EFT
Okay,
tapping
cool.
that I have. So I will provide that link. Um,
I'm gonna try all 3. I really am. Like, because I think that when you learn about something new,
Mhm,
and so the weekly wanderlust is your homework or your mission should you choose to accept it. Like we don't say, oh, you have to do this.
mhm,
You might want to try it, but anytime you do application of a new skill or idea or whatever, it becomes part of your repertoire. It becomes something that becomes more natural
mhm.
as your go to. So
Yes.
I'm going to try all 3 things and I'm going to report in on all of them.
Okay.
I'm
Um,
excited about the red room though. I really am.
if you decide to do the fuck it pillow, please take a picture of it
Oh,
and post it
okay.
in our Facebook group. That would be
Okay.
so cool to see.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I will put all 3 up. I will provide a link to the EFT tapping because it's so important and it's such a simple thing to do.
Yeah.
Um, I do I I might create I don't know if I'll do it for this, but, I was just thinking I might create a guided red room meditation.
Oh, I would love that. I think that that would be great. And what I was thinking as you were talking is
Mhm,
some people are really good at visualization. Some people, can get that picture in their mind and really put themselves into the place, the situation, the whatever.
mhm.
Some people are not real good at that. So the guided would be very helpful for many people.
Okay, that makes sense. I don't know if I'm gonna, do it for the weekly wanderlust. It might be something that I create that I say, "Hey, you guys can go back and look at this."
Well, I love that because when you do that, it can be something you can access and just practice it some until it becomes natural for you
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
feels comfortable.
Because some people may wanna stay longer. That's always the thing with me with, guided meditations is sometimes they move so quickly because 'cause they're giving you a taste of what it's like to give
Right.
you, um, just, work your mind into, "This is the path, this is where you go, this is the feeling, this is the resolve." Um, so it takes you quickly through, but a lot of times I wanna spend more time in a certain place.
Yeah.
You're not done with your rage yet, but it
Well,
leads
and
to
depending on what the situation is, it might take longer in the red room sometimes than it does
exactly.
other times.
Say, "Okay, so pause if you need more time in the red room, and then restart this when you're" yeah. Um,
Yes.
maybe that's a thing, but, most people aren't gonna think to pause when they're in a "her" state, but
Yeah.
but I can create it as an example.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I think we've got that.
Okay. Love it.
So, I want to remind everybody a couple of things. We have all of this that I'm talking about, creating and everything. We have a blog, we have a website, which is kiss.afirewithin.me, which is listed below. So you can go over to the website, go to our blog, and the blog has a picture that matches the cover of this podcast to easily find it. So you can go over there and it'll be named the same as well. And in that, it's more of a concise rendering of what Diane and I talk about with no ums, so, us, whatever. You missed the laughter too, but oh well.
Sorry.
Yeah, but it's a more concise rendering of the conversation. Um, and then below it is the weekly wanderlust, which is the integration part of it. Then, down below, anything else that we've talked about. Um, if there's videos that go along with it, any affirmations, all of that's there. And on top of it, I'm just trying to think of anything else that we've got there. Our sponsorship.
Yes, we haven't talked about our sponsorship today, and we don't have a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
Um, Do we want to talk about something or do we want to?
The sponsorship will be over there.
Okay.
Just know that Diana and I both fervently believe in these products that we're taking for our gut health and so forth, which is from Life Activated Brands. And the link to get more information, we will not pester you on this, but it's stuff for your gut health and to feel good, to feel better, calmer in your body more. All of that, there's information over on the podcast website.
Well, and also if you fill in the interest form, you'll get a text. We don't even know that we're not even involved really. You get all of the information. And then if you decide you want to order something or you want to try out the business and make some extra money or whatever,
Go
you
for
get
it.
a text. Yes.
We will not bug you about it.
No.
Um, so, what else did I want to mention? Oh, we want to do, I want to mention the Facebook group, but I want to do the Sweary affirmation first.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So,
Now,
no, now.
did
Hold
you
on.
have any
You have to
yet? Did
know
you
it.
have it yet? Okay, now. I can't tell because it's down low. Okay, my little bag of Sweary affirmations.
Yes. I am more than worthy. I am a fucking warrior woman.
Yes, I am. I am more than worthy. I'm a fucking warrior woman.
I love that one. And especially when we're talking about red rooming and bucket pillow and all of that.
And I could do that. I'm a fucking warrior woman.
Even though I'm feeling a great deal of anxiety, I am a fucking warrior woman.
Yes.
There we
Totally.
go. Makes total sense. I like that. Okay. Okay. So you guys, if you want your own little bag of sweary affirmations, that is over on the podcast or on the blog link for the podcast. You can find it down in there.
Yes.
Okay. And then I want to mention the Facebook group.
Okay. Yes.
Everything we talk about here, we want you, like Diana was saying, here's the opportunity with the Weekly Wanderlust to integrate what we've talked about, give it a try. And the idea is to come over to the Facebook group and then share it with us. This is
Yes.
essentially free coaching that we're giving you, free life coaching, how to handle things, how to move through, how to deal with your emotions. So when you go over to the group and you share with us what you've experienced, then we can actually go in and cheer you on or offer tips, or we even learn from some of the stuff that you share with us.
Well, and we haven't mentioned it in a while, but if there are things that you want us to talk about or address or do a podcast about, we love it. I mean, like we come up with ideas and more ideas and more ideas, but
Life
if
brings
that's
on the ideas.
yes, but if there's something specific that you'd like us to approach or, how we deal with a problem or whatever, we would love that interaction and we can use that to help plan future podcasts.
Exactly. Love it.
Yes.
Do we have anything else?
I think that's it.
That's
I
it.
think we're done.
Wow.
Done for today.
We are
All right. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.